Welcome to another episode of the Ivan Herrera Show. As week 9 comes up, I have 5 players that I need you to keep your eyes out for and potentially make an offer for. We're coming to the stretch of the season, and it's very important to make improvements so that way your team is ready to make a push for the fantasy championship. And the first player I want to make mention is going to be Michael Pittman Jr. The big news this week was that the Colts are going to bench Anthony Richardson and go with Joe Flacco as the main starter in Indianapolis. And so far, we've seen a huge difference with the production from Michael Pittman Jr. when he has Joe Flacco compared to Anthony Richardson. And if we see this side-by-side comparison between Joe Flacco and Anthony Richardson, it's actually pretty astounding. Look at this over here. You see in 4 games with Joe Flacco, you see the points per game be a little higher. You see the receptions are a little higher as well. Targets also higher. And same thing with the receiving yards. So it's no surprise to me that Michael Pittman is going to benefit from this benching with Anthony Richardson. It's going to be very intriguing in real life to see how this will play out. So far, you're seeing into the season that Michael Pittman Jr. is 11th in total route wins. Currently, Michael Pittman Jr. is averaging 9.5 fantasy points. But if you hover over here and check out what his expected fantasy points are, it should be 13.9. And if you were to extrapolate that and put it among the top wide receivers, it actually would be a top 25 wide receiver on a weekly basis, whereas right now he's currently ranked 53rd in that same stat. And all this makes sense when you even look at data such as this one where he's currently ranked 11th in unrealized air yards. And I think with Joe Flacco now under center, all these numbers are going to now flip to the positive and make him more valuable. And also what helps out is that his upcoming matchup, he's going to be going up against the Minnesota Vikings, which are the absolute worst defense when it comes to points allowed to opposing wide receivers in fantasy. And check out this trade value chart from Trade Calculator. It shows right here that in the last 60 days compared to where he was in September, you're seeing his numbers go drastically down as far as what he's being currently traded for. And based on this chart alone, I believe that Michael Pittman Jr. is going to be actually at his lowest price, being that I'm anticipating better production with Joe Flacco under center. Now, this next player already had a game, but someone that still is worth targeting, and that's going to be Joe Mixon. Now, of course, if you're playing Dynasty, this may be a very different conversation, but for redraft, he has been phenomenal. In the last 6 games that he's played, he has 5 games where he has been a top 10 option at the running back position. He's currently been successful, and a lot of it is attributed to how successful he's been as an explosive running back. He's had currently 17 explosive plays, which currently ranks 5th best among running backs. He's also been 5th in opportunity share. He's also been 9th in target share, including 10th in red zone touches. All of these things equate to a wonderful opportunity for him to continue to get usage that will be valuable for your fantasy team. Plus, you add the fact that there's no clear competition in this backfield that will compete for the touches that Joe Mixon is currently getting. Plus, you add the depleted options that they have currently at wide receiver. I mean, all the volume as well as the opportunity share that he has just make him a really great option to target for in fantasy. All right, this next player I want you to target is going to be Dalton Kincaid for the Buffalo Bills. I know that with the Amari Cooper trade, a lot of the talk was whether you should still keep Khalil Shakir, what's going to happen to Keon Coleman, but I've been seeing Dalton Kincaid producing a lot more. He's had now 5 straight games with 6+ targets. Currently among all tight ends, he's first in unrealized air yards. He's first in deep targets. And check this out, targets per route rate. He's currently at 27% compared to being at 21 last season. And this is per fantasy points data. But we're also seeing here that this equates to an expected points of 11.4 per game, where currently he's at 8.8 as his average. And if these numbers continue to progress, you're going to see more production coming from him, considering that right now among top options at the tight end position, based on what I'm seeing here from Untitled Fantasy Football, this tweet from them, it says here that Dalton Kincaid, he currently is at a 20.6 target share and with 338 air yards, which currently has him ranked 5th among all tight ends. And I believe that right now what we're seeing is a great opportunity for you to get Dalton Kincaid, being that he's currently showcasing productivity that is getting better and better week in and week out. Hey, thank you so much for watching the video so far. Listen, we have 2 more players to go over. Before we do so, most of you aren't subscribed yet. So do me a solid. If you're getting value, hit the subscribe button as well as the like button. Now let's get into these next 2 players. This next player I want you to target is going to be Terry McLaurin off the Washington Commanders. Now, I'll just be really upfront with you. I love me some Terry McLaurin. This guy has been one of my favorite wide receivers. I mean, someone that has had such tough luck as far as having consistency at the quarterback position, but he's always produced. I mean, when you look at what he's done year in and year out, someone that continues to be productive. And now we're seeing that with the emergence of Jaden Daniels, that productivity is now finally boding well, not just for both fantasy, but also obviously for the Commanders as well. For me, the main thing is that you're seeing that the targets per routes he's currently running is at 25% versus 21 last season. He's currently on pace to have a career year with a 17 game stretch average increase in receiving yards as well as fantasy points. He's currently first in air yards among all wide receivers. He's fourth in deep targets, fifth in air yard share. And for me, McLaurin continues to have a steady floor. This season thus far, he's had 2 tough matchups versus some good defenses. However, he still was able to put up some good productivity versus Cincinnati as well as Chicago, where he put up 21 points and 18.5 points in both of those matchups. Despite Terry McLaurin having some potential tough matchups coming along the horizon, he is such a steady, bulletproof wide receiver for me because of the steady floor that he has as well as the target share that he's getting, for me to not continue to want to pursue him in all of my fantasy rosters. And this final wide receiver I want you to target is going to be Chris Olave from the New Orleans Saints. And I love Chris Olave because in what was supposed to be a tough matchup last week versus the Los Angeles Chargers, we saw Chris Olave put up a season-high 14 targets, and he also tied a season high in receptions with 8. And this is with him having backup quarterbacks because we saw, of course, Derek Carr be injured with the oblique injury. And quite frankly, with him now expecting to have Derek Carr back in week 9, I mean, how can you not be excited about it? Because look, last week we saw Chris Olave run 92% of the routes. He also had a 36% target share. That's hefty, considering that, of course, Rashid Shaheed is out for the season, and there's no one in that wide receiver room that makes me feel like they're going to take targets away, whether that's Taysom Hill, even Alvin Kamara. I think that Chris Olave is going to be such a slam dunk option for me to want to pursue. And plus, he's going to have a really juicy matchup going up against Carolina. He's going to be more than likely lined up against Michael Jackson. Not pop star Michael Jackson, but he actually allows a very porous 0.43 fantasy points per pass route. And with the skill set that Olave has to go along with the huge target share, this should be a juicy matchup. And it just doesn't start here. He also has great matchups, not only versus Carolina, but he has one versus Atlanta as well as Cleveland before they go into their bye week. So in conclusion with Olave, it's the target share, it's the upcoming matchup, and it's just the overall skill set. This is someone that you want to have on your roster and someone that can make a big push for you as we get ready for the fantasy playoffs. Hey, you've made it to the very end of the video. Thank you so much. I love making these videos for you guys. They require a lot of editing, research, but the point is, if you found value in it, do me a solid. Hit the like button, subscribe, and check out some of these other videos here that will help you out with improving your fantasy rosters as we get ready for the fantasy playoffs. Best of luck to you in week 9, and in the meantime, in between time, take care, God bless, peace.